Connecticut. The state made an investment probably in the early 2000s. Here in Fairfield County, we're blessed to have really 3 good repeaters: Stanford, W1EEE, Wilton, and Bridgeport. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. Next. Okay, so why DMR? Well, it's a digital voice mode. Basically, what it does is it takes your voice, compresses it, puts it into a digital packet, compresses it, sends it, then it's moved by the repeater to the radio that decompresses it. This means that you can get fairly good audio even with very weak signals. If your radio can get the full amount of packets, you will get good audio. It is somewhat compressed, so it's not as good as AM, it's not as good, not as nice to listen to as FM, but it is very adequate, and you're not going to get a lot of static. You're going to be able to hear signals that would have been covered up by noise on a regular FM radio. Spectrum efficiency. It uses TDMA, which is time division multiple access. It's very interesting. With one repeater, you're able to have 2 simultaneous conversations on 2 different talk groups. So you're doubling the capacity of one repeater, which is very nice. I'm going to explain more about that either. Plus, it doesn't use as much bandwidth. A normal FM station standard is 25 kilohertz. This, you're able to get by with 12.5. So superior weak signal performance. So I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration here. Oh, where did it go? So I don't want to embarrass myself. But so, you know, this is a very cheap 5-watt radio. And let me just see. Kilo 1, Papa, Charlie, November, listening. Kilo 1, Papa, Charlie, November, listening. Oh, maybe not. Let me go stand by the radio window here for a second. Kilo 1, Papa, Charlie, November, listening. Okay. So here, with this 5 watts, a little bit of a rubber ducky, I'm able to hit not the Stanford repeater, but the Wilton repeater with, now, if you're doing FT8, you know that at about a minus 20 decibels, that's like where you're starting to lose to be able to decode. Here, this was able to take this signal with no loss at minus 121 decibels, which is fantastic. And I just want to tell you a little story, why I feel this is such a powerful thing to use. In the fall of last year, we had a drill. We did our Region 1 mass casualty drill, where we deployed about 40 Ares members to Greenwich Hospital. Jonathan was one of them. Norwalk Hospital, St. Vincent's, Bridgeport Hospital. We had a team, net control was up at WAS, which is Westport Astronomical Society. We had the incident was occurring at Sherwood Island, and we set up 40-meter stations, and we basically set up an FM station where we used a W1 NLK repeater, the Norwalk repeater, as our main mode of communications. You know, we're putting up these big antennas, which is relatively big on a garage, parking garage rooftop, 40-meter antenna, and setting up an FM station. Meanwhile, I was bopping around Fairfield County with this radio in my car, talking to leadership up in Hartford. So here, I really had fantastic communications around the state with this little radio, and I'm going to come back to how the structure of the talk groups work. But this, for emergency communications, this was a very good device to have. And not only did I have good communications, it was very good to listen to. I didn't have to strain and have them repeat it. Whenever someone keyed down, I could just look at the face of my radio and see who it was. So I didn't have to think about it or try to write down the call sign. I had it right in front of me. So very good. Just to let you know, we do have a statewide net at 8:30 every Sunday, where we go region by region to check in, and usually we have about 50 check-ins a week. And it's just a test of your ability to use DMR. Go back to the presentation. Okay. So next slide. So this is the NetWatch Center that you can see online if you ever want to test it yourself. See here. I just want to discuss a little bit what the information you can get from this. Well, first you can see the repeater the person is coming into, and here this person checked into the Montclair, New Jersey repeater, because our repeater network, your repeater W1EEE, has about 28 different talk groups. So you have a vast number of places you can go and places you can talk to, which is not just limited to Connecticut. You can actually make worldwide contacts through your local repeater on this radio. Here,
ask Gaetano if he needs that extension cord.
You need it then.
So he doesn't trip on.
oh no, I'm not gonna trip, don't worry, I'm good, don't worry, I don't. So here, the second thing you see is you see the user, KC2WCM, the name, where they are, also their DMR ID, their talk group that they're on, and then actually you can see what their signal strength is and what their loss rate. Most of them are 0, but people who are kind of on the edge, they'll have some packet loss and they'll have some garbled speech. But you will never have this background static. You get pure audio, clear audio each time, somewhat muffled, but clear audio each time with each transmission. And I'm going to share the links with the live control panel after this. I'll email it to you. All right, so DMR tiers, when you buy a new DMR radio, they say this is tier 1, tier 2. Really what you're interested in having as a amateur is a tier 2 radio. Tier 1 is these kind of little rinky-dink cheap radios. They're just used for kids talking back and forth. Tier 2 is for licensed professionals, and Tier 3 has been used more by emergency services. That allows trunking and allows passing of traffic, a lot of traffic at the same time. So you'll see basically this radio on the Anytone website, this is a Tier 2 radio. That's what you want. Some other digital voice modes. Well, we have DMR. Basically, you can find that on Motorola radios, Anytone radios, Alinco radios, now these Baofeng radios. Another type of digital mode is C4 FM or Wires X. Yaesu was pushing this for a while, and many of the Yaesu radios have it. Here in the Northeast, it's not that popular. There aren't that many C4 FMs. Radios. They were selling their repeaters for a while where you could get a C4 or Wires X repeater, and you could do analog with it. I think maybe N1LLL, one of his repeaters, also does C4 XM. But as I said, DMR is the most popular digital mode here in Connecticut. D-Star, this was developed by ICOM and Kenwood. If you buy if you have an ICOM 705 or the 9700, or I don't think the 7300 does it, you can do D-Star. What's nice with D-Star, it's kind of like dialing like a phone. You dial into your local repeater, and then you specify where you want that repeater to connect. And it could be another repeater in California or in Germany or wherever, and you can kind of decide this yourself. The one thing that many people don't like about DMR is you have very limited control on which talk groups you get into. It's the repeater owner that says, on my repeater, I'm going to have these 28 talk groups. This is what you have to choose from. You can't do more than that. With D-Star, you do have a little bit more control on where you want it to go. P25 is similar to DMR, usually used by emergency services. NXDN, this is kind of like a hybrid system between D-Star and DMR. So this is basically ICOM, and Kenwood is developing this. It is better than DMR. And let me explain how. As I remember, DMR does, what is it, the TDMA, time differential multi-access. So basically, I'll come to that in a minute, but the way this works is that on a NXDM uses frequency differentiated. So you have your bandwidth, which is 12.5 kilohertz for the repeater. Well, what this does is it allots 6.25 to one conversation and 6.25 on another conversation. So you're having two conversations on two very close frequencies at the same time. As opposed to in TDMA, where you're taking turns, it doesn't have, there's no compression. So I'll come back to this, it'll be more of this. So we may see an increase in the amount of these NXDN repeaters in the future. Any questions so far? Okay, so the DMR networks. There are several DMR networks, two big ones and one smaller one. So first, there is DMR MARC, which MARC stands for Motorola Amateur Radio Club. This is what we use on all of our repeaters here, all the CT Aries repeaters here in Connecticut, and also the NEDECN repeaters here in Connecticut also. This is a DMR network. It has talk groups. Talk groups are like your channels worldwide or statewide or Connecticut or New Hampshire or whatever. And their numbers is completely different than the Brandmeister network. So these networks are kind of in parallel. Brandmeister is a European network. It is bigger than DMR MARC. When you have a hotspot at home, you're going to be connecting through the internet with your hotspot to Brandmeister. And what's nice about Brandmeister is that around the world, there's more than 10,000 repeaters out there. Plus, there is more than 30,000 people who have hotspots at home. And there are about 9,000 different talk groups. So you could go find a talk group for retired Navy veterans, or people who drove tanks, or people who like RVing, or your favorite show. I don't know if any of you listen to the any podcasts. Ham Radio Workbench is a really good one. They have a DMR channel where after their YouTube show, you can go on and ask questions through DMR if you have a hotspot. There are a few Brandmeister repeaters here in Connecticut, mainly in northern Connecticut. There's 3, and there's one over on Long Island. And what's nice is a Brandmeister repeater, you're not limited by the talk groups that the repeater owner puts on the repeater. It allows you to connect to whatever one you want. So, but generally here in Connecticut, if you're going to use Brandmeister, you're going to do it through a hotspot. And hotspots are, let me see if I have one here. Hotspots have really come down in price, and if you're going to be doing DMR, you really do want a hotspot because it is fun. It's like having your own repeater. This is the open spot. which is made in, I think it's Estonia, and self-contained battery powered. And so I turn it on. It connects to my phone by Wi-Fi, and I run my radio on the lowest power, and I can choose whatever channel or a talk group that I want. I don't know if any of you have any experience with D-Star or Yaesu Wires X. What I hate is the terminology that a channel in DMR, like the Connecticut statewide, is called a talk group. But that same thing on D-Star is called a reflector. And that same thing on Wires X is called a room. And so the terminology among the radios, they would be great if there was some standardization. There is a smaller DMR network called TGIF, which is Thank God It's Friday. And they have their own talk groups. But what is maddening is that the talk group numbers are not standardized. So worldwide, if I go on my your W1EEE DMR repeater and go to worldwide, that's talk group number 1. And when you key up, you're keying up all 9,000 repeaters across the world. In Brandmeister, it's not noted number 1. Worldwide is 91. And then the Thank God It's Friday has another number. So it does make it a little more complicated, but you end up knowing the big ones. And there are some bridges between Brandmeister and DMR, which I'll come to later. So a little about here in Connecticut, we have 2 networks. We have the CT Aries network, and we are very lucky that we have about 30 repeaters around the state. We have 3 here in Fairfield County, but as you see, they are fairly well distributed around the state. Many of them are run by W1SP, which is the State Police Amateur Radio Club. They are all connected when we have our net on Sunday nights. On statewide, when you key down, you are keying up every one of those repeaters. And as I showed, that DMR radios with not a lot of power get pretty far. You can be heard pretty far. Here I'm hitting Stanford. With my HT in Fairfield, I have a choice that either I can key up the Bridgeport repeater or I can key up the Wilton one, and I get into those very easily. So the second network that we have here in Connecticut is the NEDECN network, which is the New England Digital Emergency NED Communications Network. Oh, that's written right there. And this network is composed of all of these repeaters. You have repeaters from Long Island all the way up to New Brunswick, Canada. And on Monday nights at 8 o'clock, the NEDECN network has a net which is New England wide on talk group New England wide, and they take check-ins from Canada all the way down to Long Island. It's a fun net. It's 40 minutes or so. Your closest repeater. Now you see here these ones with the black dots is the Aries repeaters, and the ones without the black dots is the NEDECN. The closest repeater that you have here is Norwalk. So they have one right on Norwalk Hospital, and that covers Fairfield County pretty well.
Did you say 8 a.m.?
8 p.m. on Monday nights. And that's on talk group New England wide 3172.
That's DMR?
That's DMR. Yeah. And they have a New England wide Skywarn net. They have a New England wide you want to sell something net. So there is a whole thing there. You can listen in. You can on this if you want to hear the Vermont statewide net or whatever. My daughter also has a technician license with a little arm twisting. So and she goes to school at the Manhattan School of Music. And so I'm like, what if she has to get out, there's no communications, whatever. So she checks in sometimes to the WECA-net. I can hit Valhalla from Fairfield, and she can get that from from Harlem there, and we get contacts. But also through DMR, we can make contacts too. And also my other daughter, who lives in Washington, D.C., we have communication through DMR also. Oh. Which is great. And you would think, oh my God, well, what if the internet goes down? Well, here in Connecticut, most of our DMR repeaters are linked by microwave. So they are very redundant, and they're in locations that have emergency power. So, great. So, the first thing you have to do before you even think about getting on DMR is you have to get a DMR ID number. It's free. You go to radioid.net. You need an original copy of your FCC license, which you can download. And I will send you a post. I think Jonathan already posted it up once upon a time, where how you can do that. And you upload it, and within 24 hours, they give you a DMR ID number. You program that into your radio, so when you transmit, the network knows that's you, and will display on everybody's radio, if they've updated their database, your name, location, and so forth. So it's very nice. You can also set a pause on your radio so it shows like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, depending on how quick you are. So this is number one. Number two, oh, wait a minute, what channels? So, all right, so this is from your